The scarcity of common resources is a problem that affects us all. Think, for example, about roads, and we are all get frustrated when we have to get stuck in traffic jams, or shortage in energy generation, and we are a bit worried that not all of us will be able to take hot showers in the coming winter. At NCCR Automation, we have been thinking about how to allocate such resources automatically. So for example, who gets to use a faster road in an automated manner. And we are thinking about how to do that both efficiently and fairly. For this reason, we have been developing the concept of a karma economy. To best explain karma, let's go back in time when we used to live in small villages. So here we have a small village, and let's say through that village we have a river flowing. And to cross that river, there are two ways. One is using a raft that is located in the center of the village, and another where we have to travel a bit north to the closest bridge. Now, what will happen if we have too many villagers wanting to use this raft at the same time? If you think about it, in the old days, these villagers would have been able to effectively negotiate who gets to use the raft. For example, because they know each other, they would be eager to let the other go first. Or perhaps one of them used the raft often in the past, so they would tell them, hey, let me use it this time. If one of them, let's say, has an important event to go to, like a family wedding, they can just tell others, hey, please, can I use it? And they will likely be happy to yield the raft, knowing that the favor will eventually be returned. Now, fast forward to today's mega cities, and really think of this raft as a metaphor for any common resource, such as the central bridge in a city, or the main highway connecting the suburbs to the city center. And motivated by what we've learned from the past, we were thinking, how can we devise fair and efficient mechanisms to allocate these resources? One popular option is to charge tolls, but that effectively means that we are building roads for the Porsches and the Ferraris out there. Instead, we were motivated by this idea of favors, and essentially karma is a way to incorporate favors in a scalable manner. And here's how it works. You give all users of a common resource karma points, and when they get access to the resource, so for example, when they get to cross the congested bridge, they give karma to others, and when they yield it, for example, going a longer route, they gain karma from others. And they also get to express how much they are willing to spend, how much karma they are willing to spend to gain access to the resource now. So we made up a mathematical model for this. It's technically not straightforward because these karma points a priori do not have any value. And what we found surprising is that people would learn to associate value to karma and spend it really only when they need to. So karma in a way acts similar to how money is meant to act, but in a completely decoupled way from all the social inequities out there. And essentially, we have a scheme that achieves both efficient and fair resource allocations. And now let's show you how to apply this concept for traffic management.
Thanks for that. So now we can see a little bit more in detail how we can use karma to design an incentive mechanism to decongest a highway during a morning commute. During a morning commute, what you will see is that if we plot the number of vehicles that want to travel through a highway, the amount will look something like this, where here, for example, will be something like 8 a.m. and this will be the peak of traffic congestion. What is done in the literature usually is use money in order to create a decongestion mechanism. And this works as follows. You will divide the highway into two parts, a lane that is a fast lane, that will be the one in which there is the toll and therefore you have to pay money to travel through it, and another one that is free for everybody. Obviously, the people that will travel through the free line will experience a worse service because they will have a more congested highway, while the one that paid the toll will travel faster through the highway. What happens in this case is that if we plot the fairness of the mechanism with respect to the time saved, we will see that the tolling will be something around here. Because the performance and therefore the amount of time that is saved is pretty high in this case, because we are able to decongest the highway of quite a lot. But at the same time, the only people that will take advantage of this are the ones that will travel through the fast lane, and therefore the ones that are actually paying the toll, and they are the ones that can afford to pay the toll. And it will be always the same people over and over again. This is not fair at all, and this is why tolling scores so low into the fair category. Now we just discuss how we can use money to create a traffic decongestion. In order to implement a karma mechanism, what we do is consider the same road, and we still use two lanes, in which one will be the fast lane and one will be the slow lane. And the people that arrive at the decision point in which they have to decide whether they go on the fast lane or the slow one, they will use karma. And how do they do so? Well, before there was a very simple mechanism in which they could just talk to each other, in the example of villages. In this case, instead, we create an automated mechanism based on some point that each one has, and they can use to bid for winning the access on the fast lane rather than going in the slow one. Therefore, if an individual bid high enough, he will go through the fast lane by bidding some karma, while if he does not bid high enough, he will travel through the slow lane. What happens is that there will be at the end of the day an accumulation of karma that will then be redistributed to the individual that did not use the fast lane. In such a way, what we have is an internalization of the externalities, and therefore the one that before were poor in terms of karma are now the rich one. And therefore, the day after will have a higher chance to access the fast lane, making this mechanism more fair. Now, the one that I just described is quite a complex system, and what we do in our research is study and model this interaction in order to figure out what is going to happen on the level of traffic decongestion. Will this actually reach the same level of time saved than the monetary mechanism does, or it will not? Well, our model, based on game theoretical ideas, tells us that the karma achieve exactly the same level of time saved, but achieve a way higher fair rate, because everybody will have access sooner or later to go through the fast lane, something that was not possible before because money were not associated to how people was behaving on the street, but rather an intrinsic characteristic of the person. But how would this look like in practice?
To find out, we collaborate with the architect in China and create this installation art, which is selected to be presented at the Shenzhen Biennale this year. So this project is called Chip the Trip. As you can see, it's motivated by karma. So in this installation, we design different paths corresponding to different travel modes. This one is the public transit. In the middle, we have the path for private driving, and the third one is for walking and biking. So when visitors enter the installation, we introduce different travel scenes and ask them to choose different travel mode for each travel scene. If they choose private driving, they will go through the bidding process just described by Carlo. If they choose public transit, then they don't need to pay any karma. And if they choose walking or biking, they can earn extra karma to use in their future trip. To guide the visitors through this installation, we create this mobile app. So when they enter the installation, they can scan a QR code and enter this mobile app. On this app, they will read different travel scenes and make their choices, making their biddings, things like that. So this app also helps us collect the travelers' behaviors, and this gives us a preliminary understanding of how people would react to this karma-based mobility system.